Well, hey, y'all. Welcome to When We Walk. This is a podcast where we talk about the questions we all ask as we walk through life. I'm Shireen.
I'm Micah.
Let's chat.
All right. So, Joran, you got a game for us today?
I do.
Okay.
So we're going to play emoji charades, except so if you'll pick up that little stack of paper.
Okay.
Okay, who picks it up?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You'll both be guessing, so.
Okay.
And you have to guess, there are life codes, so
Want
you
me
have
to
to
grab
guess which life
Well,
code
let's do one at a
goes
time.
with each emoji or each little group of them. So we can start whenever you guys
Okay.
are ready.
Oh,
Okay, so our church
So
life codes.
it's not our icons.
No.
These are
No.
emojis.
Yeah.
that make the statement.
reference
Have you never
our-
seen, like, they did a reel of, like, songs, our Lifegate songs with the emojis,
Emojis.
and pretty much
did
nobody
see
knew
that.
them. It's harder than you think. It is hard. I've
All
seen
right,
people
okay,
do
I'm up for
this,
it.
like
Let's do it.
Christmas songs and stuff. Okay,
Okay, I'm
so
up
we
for
got to
it.
think about our, so for those who might not know, we have 8 life codes as
Yep.
a church, and
It's kind of like our DNA
yes,
as a church family.
and this is going to be a challenge.
Okay.
Okay. This is our first one. There is a guy on his knees.
We thirst first for God.
Oh, that's too
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Too easy, but you didn't get it.
Well, I was
did.
kind of trying to
Oh,
explain
okay.
it for people listening, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
All right. Okay.
Okay, next one. You're like, we're going to get through these. We're going to do this. Okay. A house, sparkles,
I know.
holding hands. We do life together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Maybe
yes.
this is easier than I thought. For some reason, I had a hard time with it.
You put all these together.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Good
All right.
job, Joran.
Good. Okay.
Okay. A globe, a blue heart, hand hearts, and open hands.
We're known for our outrageous generosity.
No.
No. Okay. No. Okay.
No, there's going to be money with that one, I bet.
We are united under one vision. No.
No.
Okay. I'm trying to remember some of
We-
our other ones.
We give our freshest and our best. Oh my gosh.
We
I'm lost.
wait, we have one about unity.
Yeah.
right?
I already said that one. We're
Oh,
united under one
shoot.
vision. I'm just
Okay.
going through them now at this point.
Do you want me to give you a hint?
Yes.
It has to do with community.
Oh, I thought Do Life Together was our community one.
Yep. We
This isn't Servant
it's not,
King.
we dress daily for battle. No. Oh my gosh. This is so bad.
Okay, give us another.
It's our third life code.
Oh, I wish I knew them.
I do not. I already told you I didn't know them in order.
So
Freshest
we
and
thirst
best.
first for God. We live like our servant
Oh.
King. I thought it was we were united under one vision. There.
Dress daily for battle. What?
We're an honoring community.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a
Okay.
hard time with that.
I don't get it. I don't see the connection, but I'm sure there is one. Yeah.
You know what you could have done?
We love each other.
A crown honor,
Yeah.
like the king. Okay.
So
good.
true.
All right.
Okay. A gift, a heart,
Yeah.
a globe.
There's
This is
we known give
Outrageous.
our freshest and our best. Known for our outrageous generosity.
This is outrageous generosity. Okay.
Okay.
Oh wow, this is. We are all struggling.
This is good. All right.
Ooh, an eyeball is in this one.
Yes.
I don't. And a lot of globes. We really think globally here.
We do.
Something. This has got to be more outreach. What is one of ours? We live like our servant king. Nope.
We
Oh,
hold hands, love, see. We hold hands, love, and see the world.
what
Is
is?
this a new life code, Jordan?
Jordan's making up life codes now. What is there one that's
The I is really the
The
okay?
key.
Is this like?
It's united under one vision.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay,
Vision, I, boom.
Vision. Got
That's
it.
good.
Got it.
That's good,
Okay.
Jordan.
Oh, I can see. This is where you did a crown.
Yeah.
We live like our servant king.
Boom.
Yep.
Got it. Finally, that one came out. Okay. I got to.
I have an emoji question for her when we're done.
Okay.
This is,
A leaf, sparkle hearts, more sparkles.
we give our freshest and our best. Is
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Life, green. It's good.
We dress daily for battle.
Daily for
Yep.
battle. Nice.
That
Got
one.
it.
Good.
All right.
great.
Good
Wow,
job.
those are really good.
So many globes. Joran.
Yeah.
So,
We think globally.
We do.
A, thank you for doing that. B, a question about emojis that you might know. A lot of people, the prayer hand that you use, some people say that's actually not prayer
High
hands,
fives.
it's high fives.
Supposed to be high
Do
fives.
we know the answer?
I think it's a prayer hand because isn't there already like a high five one?
I thought so. Like
I
coming
thought there
at
was
you.
a
High five.
one-hand high
Like
five.
it coming at you,
Yeah.
high five. Yeah.
I always.
We're going to claim
I
it
don't know.
as
Yeah,
prayer
let's just
hand.
claim it.
And
Yeah.
maybe giving God high five.
Okay,
Also, it
that's
can be
taking
all
it
things.
extremely
Yeah.
cheesy far. Great job, Joran. That
great.
really tested us, and I think we did okay.
I think so too.
As did you, putting this together.
Way to go.
Thanks.
That had to be hard.
It is hard to. We have limited options with
speak.
emojis, so
Yeah.
there's only so many.
That was a good fun
That was
game. That's
well
a good
done.
one.
Thanks. It's great. So, so by the time this episode's going to be released, we
election
will,
week.
Yep, that week we will have a new president.
Yeah.
or at least have elected a new president.
Yep.
And
Change
that's a
is
big
coming.
deal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, even when we were in the UK, we may have mentioned it here already, but one of the pastors was like, "Hey, y'all's election is a big deal to us all. It affects everybody.
Right.
Only y'all are just the ones that get to vote, and we don't." So I do think, regardless of how we vote, there is going to be an emotional. There's going to be a mental and emotional state as a nation that we're going to carry,
For sure.
regardless of how this comes out, and regardless of how people vote.
Because the whole journey has been emotional
Yeah.
since last election cycle.
Yeah.
I think everyone's invested in it. I actually think whether you are invested in it or not, like I'm almost a little more repulsed by it, but I feel emotion around it, right? Because even if I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the passionate, whatever.
What do you feel repulsed by? I'm just curious.
Just every time we watch football, even our kids are like, oh my gosh, another commercial. And it feels like venom from each side. There's very few things of, hey, here's what I have to offer anymore. And so much of it is tearing people down. And there's just, as a believer, it should jolt us a little bit to think like, gosh, we're not designed to tear people down that way.
Yeah.
And so I feel like just a little more dread of the lead up and then even the things that will come out after instead of, back in the day when, one candidate could be clearly seen that they were winning, the other candidate would call, you'd hear the story. They would call, they'd tell them congratulations. They'd kind of relent and say, great race, whatever. You'd see a video of that even maybe. And you just have this feeling like, I just don't even know if our world can do that. If any of our candidates can do that, local or, national. And so I think there's emotion is what I'm trying to get at. It's like,
too. And it's been a big buildup. Like we've, it's been going on a long time. I heard someone say, a Canadian, on a podcast I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but she was Canadian and she was saying, I think one of the best things America could do with their election cycles is shorten them and make them only 6 weeks.
Oh,
And
that's
I think
great.
she said in Canada, something like that. So you can't,
That's brilliant,
you can't
actually.
publicly campaign until 6 weeks out because it's just too
It's
much
exhausting.
time for the back and the forth and the attacks and all of that. And so, yeah, I think we're all going to be relieved
we're all gonna
that
have
it's
feelings.
over. And half the country will be elated, half the country will be really upset. And
I actually think the majority of the country will be thankful it's over and not care too much.
Yeah, this time around it may be just kind of relief. But I think it's a great week to talk about, not politics necessarily.
Right, we need a break
but
from
our
it.
emotional state in life.
Yeah.
And it's a good week we're all going to have, our emotions are going to be on the surface that week. And so it's a good time for us to just maybe address how we manage our mental and emotional well-being as followers of Jesus. In seasons when things go our way, in seasons when things don't go our way.
When we're carrying a lot of emotional baggage or weight or things like that.
Yeah. So just kind of the whole idea around, the different things that we have in our life that allow us to either escape or have a break from maybe the heaviness of life, maybe things that are refreshing to us, that are life-giving. We've all got stuff in our lives, right, that we kind of go to when it comes to, man, we need some kind of a reset, or we need some space, or we just need to get our mind off of whatever else. I think we've all got those things. What are yours?
I feel like the world talks about self-care a lot, so I don't know where that fits. I think we've alluded to that before. I don't know how I feel about it, but I think
you don't know how you feel about self-care?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel.
Do you want to get into that, or is that a whole other episode?
That might be something completely different. But I think things that I do that I enjoy, if that's what you're getting at, that kind of bring joy and life, and kind of use my mind, move my mind and heart in a different space. I've grown to really love silence and solitude. I think we both do.
Yeah. In this season of life.
That sounds so old person. I don't know why. I'm sure Jordan's like, I would never. Does that even sound enjoyable to you? Silence and solitude?
No.
Exactly. This is a generational thing. Way to be honest. I don't think you could have told me in my 20s that I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I do so much.
In this season.
Because we have 4 kids and we are going all the time.
Perfect example. The other day, I had gotten up a little early and was spending some time with the Lord, and felt like I was so excited about the day. I felt good. I felt connected to Jesus, ready to just like serve our family and do what was in front of us. And then everybody descended down into the living room. You came down, and then the kids came down shortly after. And the conversation, the way our kids operate, and probably most houses are like this, everybody just talks on top of each other. And so
it's all about the things they need
in that moment. Yeah. And so the conversation just immediately kind of filled the room of Halloween costumes, Halloween plans, birthday stuff.
Because we have a birthday in the family.
Sarah Chambliss' birthday was coming up. Haircuts. When are we going to take different people to go get haircuts? And the whole thing. And you have this ability just to like dip into every one of these little comments and conversations and engage them. And I was just like,
you were crumbling
in my chair. Like I feel, and none of these are life or death things.
No,
but just the overstimulation of it all just got to me.
Right.
And so that's an example of why we love silence and solitude. One day, Jordan.
Jordan,
you will be there.
Ask your parents. They might. Well, they're in a different season, but
yeah.
Oh yes. So silence and solitude. Just the other day, I took a full day off.
Yeah.
Put in my PTO, which I rarely do for something that's like, I'm just going to take a full day. Like I need a reason usually.
Yep.
Like a vacation, a trip, something we're doing. But I was like, I don't have any meetings. I'm going to take this full day off. Well, then I changed it to a half day because I realized I had some work to get done, but I was still going to work from home. And then that morning we had a kid sick. Ended up being 2 kids sick who I had to take to the doctor. I reached out to our HR and was like, can I change this? Like, I'm working from home today. Yeah. I'm going to get my day back. Like, this is, I was so angry. I threw a full on, like, by myself. I don't know if you know this, upstairs, like crying tantrum, told the Lord how mad I was. Because this was the second time that happened with like a PTO day that I tried to take, and a kid stayed home sick. And so silence
you just shifted into work mode. And
I did. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take care of kids, work mode, work from home, help them with what they need, take them to the doctor, and so silence and solitude right now.
So we both appreciate that. But so here's kind of where we can go with this. At what point does silence and solitude cease to be life-giving, and it becomes more of a kind of it's crazy to say this, but an unhealthy attachment. Yeah. That gives us kind of a spiritual reason to keep people at a distance.
Yeah. I think one, you have to know your personality type, right? Like if you're someone who leans more introverted, you still know you need it, but if you can always use that as an excuse of this is the only way I get recharged and refilled. So I think it can become dangerous in that way. Like you're using it as an excuse to not engage family or engage community. But I think also like thinking that is the answer. I mean, I think about it all the time. Like, I know we see in scripture, Jesus took time away. Like he went up and prayed. He went away from the crowd, like whatever. But he spent a lot of time with people. A lot of time with people. Yeah. So that was more the every now and then versus we can hear God and experience him. I think he very much designed it in community. Yeah. Right. I think we've talked about it on here on one of the episodes about the Holy Spirit traditionally through scripture and still today works through people.
Yep. That's good. So here's why I'm asking that. I think that's insightful that you I think all of the things that we have in our lives that we might classify as either self-care or these are hobbies or these are just my interests. I think we can all have a tendency to maybe over or even underutilize these things in our lives and struggle with where they really fit. As followers of Jesus, trying to measure, like, how do I hold all this stuff together? So like, I know self-care, silence and solitude, I wouldn't call a hobby.
No, that's a practice.
But it's a practice. But there still needs to be some kind of boundaries around that particular practice, especially if like you find yourself just absolutely craving it all the time. It might be good to say, why am I craving this so deeply?
Right. What else is going on in my life?
What else is going on in my life? So even like extending that beyond just like life-giving practices to like to Sabbath practices, to hobbies, to interests. I think it's good to have these things in our lives, but I also think they can take over our lives.
Or I think you can, like you said, if you notice you're craving it too much and it becomes a little bit like, okay, I'm going to this more than I'm really finding my peace and joy in the Lord. Remember, I think I've learned that I think it was in 2021 when I kept telling you, I just need a vacation. I just need a vacation, which I think might be one of my hobbies, maybe. Yes. I love vacations. I love them. That is way too expensive to be a hobby. But listen, I tell the Lord all the time, I love a good vacation. But I remember telling you, I need a vacation. I need a vacation. And at one point you were like, I don't think you need a vacation. There's something deeper. And I remember talking to my counselor and it was like, okay.
I actually said, I think you need a counselor.
Yeah, you did.
This is before you had one.
I was trying to be nice. You did say that.
It's marriage.
Not the best
response,
but you were honest and it was true. Yeah. And I did need one. But then I talked to my counselor and she was like, yep, that might be your sign. That's like an escape thing, you know? And there's a healthy place for it. I do enjoy vacations and we've learned that is something that I want to have, something to look forward to. But if I notice that I'm like in a bad place and I'm saying how much I need a vacation, then I'm wanting to escape to something that, okay, there's probably something deeper going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So
I think that can be for anything, kind of what you're saying, like any hobby, anything.
Interest or
shopping.
Jordan, can you do a little research for me real quick? I'm curious where the word hobby actually came from. Like, what is the root of that? I don't know. Because we are a hobby obsessed culture
in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. And there's something
in Western world.
There's something to be said for
to Europe.
I do think there's something to be said for play in our lives. Like, I think that as adults, we lose play. And I think it's something that God has designed human beings to enjoy all through life, at every stage of life. I think it allows us to connect with people. I think it allows us to connect with creation. So I think play is actually a really good thing, but we have become maybe a play obsessed culture and don't always hobby obsessed in a sense. And we don't always like know how to keep that in check. Right. And so, I remember going to, and this is no bad on anybody who does this, but this was an aha for me. Last Labor Day, we did that little glamping thing. Because we were not really like a camping family, but we just showed up and there was a tent there and we got to stay in it together as a family. It was awesome. But it was at this little campground area where there were all these RVs.
Yeah.
And we walked the area and I was just blown away with like
huge,
how nice
fancy
RVs are and how big these trucks are and the TVs they hang on the side and the full kitchens that they set up on the outside.
I know, the setups were unreal.
The way my mind works, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking like $150,000, $200,000. Like these are huge setups.
They could be luxury homes in some.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. Like it's fine. It's okay. I'm not knocking the campers out there. But it was just this aha to me of like just another kind of example of how deep we get into things.
Right. If we're going to do something.
If we find something we like, we're
going to go all into our hobby. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah. And
I'm kind of wired that way.
Yeah. And so I think it's, part of kind of what we're getting at is how do we make sure that the things in our life, even that are life-giving and can sometimes be a little bit of an escape, which is a good thing, but how do we manage and keep them in the right place and keep that before the Lord? So have you found anything interesting on what a hobby?
Yes.
Hobbies? Yeah.
I'm trying to, it's kind of confusing. I think it originated from a book.
Oh, interesting. Not The Hobbit.
Doubt it.
It says, hobby is also another name for a small horse.
Oh.
So
hobby horse.
This Tristram Shandy.
Okay.
The term hobby horse was used to refer to whimsical obsessions, which led to the current use of the word hobby.
Oh,
fascinating.
Gotcha.
So someone who had a horse loved their horse.
A little whimsical obsession.
Whimsical obsessions. Oh,
okay. I never knew that.
I kind of like that word.
I have heard hobby horse,
whimsical.
but I never knew. Okay. That's
okay.
Great. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I think that helps even gain perspective of like,
even like that the word obsession is connected.
I know. That's fascinating. Well, as you were talking, the thing that came to my mind, I think of our friend Annie, who she has like a saying with her staff. It's like work hard, play hard, rest hard, pray hard.
Okay.
Something like that. And I love it. I actually think it's a fun little saying, but it is very indicative of our culture, right? So if like what you're talking about,
when you consider it,
there's like a balance
connected
of
to
it,
all of that,
right?
Yeah.
But I think it can be challenging because we're going to go all in culture, like a lot more now that we've been to Europe, very much more so than our European culture, who is they're a little more like laid back about life and things, and don't feel as obsessed about some things maybe as us Americans. And so same thing with work. We're obsessed about work, obsessed about our success, money and maybe moving the needle forward in our job or our career or our family or for our kids, right? There's so much of that it's almost like on the flip side, on the play side, we bring that same obsession to our hobbies.
Yep.
And we can't just this is probably a bad example, but I think of like, you can't just be, a hobby photographer. Now you've got to like own 20 cameras and be really, really good at it. And all of a sudden put all your pictures out on Instagram and have a gajillion followers because now you're a good photographer.
Yeah.
And it can't just be
make something of it.
Yeah, just something you do on the side. And then everyone immediately be like, oh, would you do that for a job at some point? Or will you do that for a family? And then maybe you start getting paid. And what was just a fun little hobby, we kind of move into a
side hustle,
responsibility.
Yeah. A platform.
So there's this weird place, I think, culturally that we do.
Great at.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's social media that does that, but I even think of like our son who's so into basketball right now. Like it's a hobby for him right now, right? He's 15. It's a hobby. It is. There is no career mindset of this, even though he's watching videos, he's on YouTube, and there's this sense you can see starting to rise up in him of like, oh my goodness, but I could go to the NBA, and if I work really hard and if I do these things, and then to me, then there's this point of where it ceases to be enjoyable and just something you do to release, frustration or get energy out at the end of the day, or connect with your buddies and just enjoy basketball together. And so I don't know. I think there's, like you said, we tend to take it on, and then it's almost like it becomes part of our identity. We can't just, hey, I want to go camping some point. No, we're going to own an RV now, and we are going to be campers.
Yeah.
It becomes our identity. It really does.
That's true.
So I don't know, but I don't think, so then circling all the way back to, we do in seasons of stress and there's a lot going on. I think we still need something
to
do.
So. Yeah,
I think we need something that brings us joy and we enjoy.
Yeah. So I think maybe one way to kind of summarize all the different directions we've gone from elections all the way to
circle
hobbies
all the way around.
The human heart is, I think, wired for play.
Yes.
Like, I think play is important, and at its best, play allows us to interact with creation, which I think is healthy, and it allows us to interact with others in a way that engages each other, in a healthy way, where it's not, deep conversation all the time, and it's not working, doing projects
or
together,
feeling like it has to be purposeful,
solving problems together, all of that, though all that's important. And so I think it allows us to connect with others. It allows us to connect with creation, which ultimately allows us to connect with God as well, because he's connected to all of that and he's into all of that. He wants us to connect with his creation. He wants us to connect with one another. I think it's trying to, as followers of Jesus in America, it's learning how to have these things in our lives in a way that is not all consuming, but stays intentionally moving us in the right direction, and which is closer to Jesus, closer to others, right? And so having some things in our lives, I think one of the other extreme is maybe Christians who are just, they're so, the line I think a friend of mine told me in college about his dad. He said, he's so heavenly minded, he's no earthly good.
Oh.
Meaning like and he wasn't like saying
no,
it.
Not in a bad way.
He was just kind of lovingly kind of talking about how his dad operates. It was just so spiritual that like no one could relate with him.
Right.
And we don't want to be that.
No, we still want to be relatable.
Yeah, but we also don't want to become so obsessed with, a culture that wants to drown itself in entertainment, that we miss out on the things that are really important in life.
And that these don't become idols.
Yeah.
Like we have to really check our hearts on what are we trying to solve a problem, or we're trying to bring, there's nothing wrong, I don't think, with some of it bringing comfort and joy and ease. That is what it does.
Again, because we're wired
to
receive in so many different ways.
Yes, but then I think the difference is like me constantly talking about a vacation and you're being like, there's something deeper.
Right. Yeah.
You got to be aware of that. But then I think there's the flip side, which is what you've struggled with in the past of like, I shouldn't want any of this.
Yeah. It's frivolous.
It's frivolous.
That's been my struggle.
One, because of maybe a little bit of your family history of, there was some of that growing up for you. But I think and then also we had young kids. We had no time for hobbies. Yeah. We couldn't even we barely had time to go on dates. But I think you wrestled with that a little bit, especially with because you went through different seasons. You went through golf.
Yeah.
You've always gone through golf. That's always been like the one that you really want to get into.
Yeah.
But when we had young kids and you would say, I'm going to go golf, I would like brace myself because golf is not a quick hobby.
Nope.
I didn't do it, so I wasn't going with you. And it would be another day, one of your days off, where you'd go for majority of the day again. And then I'm like, I'm home with kids all day again on the day where you could be home and I could have some relief. So there was tension with that. And I know you felt that too. But I wanted it for you. But then there was cycling, which you used to like to bike.
Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time.
And you went through kind of triathlon. But again, long
stretches.
Working out, that's also like a kind of hobby, but like relief for you. There have been other little things here and there, but
those have been the main ones. Yeah.
But you've always wrestled with even.
Where does that fit?
Yeah.
because it is a tension. I think we have to live in, and you and I have had countless conversations about it in seasons where I felt bored because I wasn't able to do anything outside of just work and home.
Yeah, that's all we did.
And then other seasons where it felt like I was getting into something at a level that was becoming a distraction to, other things in life. And so, yeah, I think it's just a tension that we kind of have to live in. But I think it's, as followers of Jesus, I think it's important for us to think about.
I think you've gotten, what I was saying is like you've gotten to the place where you've embraced it more now.
Yeah.
Like embracing golf, one, because you can take the boys. And it's like, that's what you were saying. Like, I get to be in creation and I get to connect with people. Because rarely do you go golf by yourself.
Yeah. 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 I think it's taken me a long time to get to that point.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. And that's probably the minority of people out there. Most people are not like struggling with, should I have hobbies?
There probably are.
There might be,
people who are in that phase of little kids.
That's true.
The guilt.
Yeah, that's true. And I do think, even as a couple, it's important for us we learned along the way to celebrate each other's interests.
It took us a while to get there.
Because every time you celebrate each other's interests, you're encouraging one more thing in life when it feels like you've already got so much going on.
I know.
And yet it took us a while to realize like that's really healthy actually.
And we're better.
You come back better
for it.
Yeah. You come back as a better version of yourself once you've been able to do that. And yet the balance to that is if it becomes your true obsession, right, then it becomes a distraction from home or work or whatever else it is.
Or it can become a financial burden.
Yeah,
like some of these are expensive hobbies.
That's true. Yeah.
Listen, the fact that I like tea, that's a pretty cheap hobby.
That is pretty cheap. Yeah.
We should be thankful for that.
I am.
I balance that with vacations.
You do. Yeah, you're on both ends of the scale.
Tea and vacations.
The things you enjoy. Yeah, that's good.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, hopefully this is helpful for people. I know we kind of went all over the place today from a emotionally, mentally intense election cycle coming to an end to the hobbies in our lives and where do those fit. But I think there's a connection.
We need them, especially maybe this week.
Yeah, maybe this week. So our encouragement, go find something fun to do. Go play a little bit
with other people.
Connect with creation, connect with others, connect with God. And hopefully you'll find a little life along the way.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining us on When We Walk.